So I'm 21 years old, and I step into this medium security prison for the next year of my life. Don't know if I was scared shitless or more just numb, right? Like, wow, this is my life for the next year. And I got there by just doing stupid shit for years, but finally, at the age of 20, right, I didn't go to prison until 21. A lot of time was suspended from the time I last fucked up to the time I actually got sent away. But all the way up until the age of 20, I was just doing stupid shit. And finally, the judge said, BC, you're too much of a hazard to society. You have to go away for a while. And that's what happened. So I go away. And at the age of 21, I enter this pod at this medium security facility in this prison. And the first thing I notice is that things are very segregated, almost like you saw on TV. You had all of the white inmates at the tables playing cards. A lot of, if not almost all, of the black inmates out on the deck, playing basketball. Some just doing laps around the deck. Some just doing push-ups. But it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that you probably should stay within your own kind, right? Prison rules. I probably should just take a seat and learn how to play cards. The problem was I didn't want to play cards. I didn't even know how to play cards, so I didn't want to learn how to play cards because it just didn't intrigue me. I don't want to play cards all day, every day for the next year of my life. I'm an amplified lunatic. I need to go out there. I need to be doing some type of athleticism. I need to be competitive. I need to be the fucking crazy, amplified man that I am. And coming from the projects where we didn't have a lot of money, if any, at most of the time, we had no money to do anything. We couldn't do X, Y, or Z that most kids in town were doing outside of the projects. We couldn't do that. So our fun every day and every night was we went to the basketball court located at the back of the projects. And that's where any race, any nationality, every culture you could think of congregated onto that basketball court, and we played ball. If you could play basketball or you were willing to play basketball, we'd put you in the game and you could hang. That's what I felt more comfortable doing. From the first moment I stepped through that main cell door of the pod, and I stepped through into that pod, and I realized how everything was segregated and how I should sit down at those tables. I wanted to be out on that deck playing basketball. And that's what I did. And as I mosey my way out onto that deck, I saw all the people at the tables give me that crooked eye. What does this motherfucker think he's doing, this young buck? A fresh 21-year-old just walking out on the deck. Who the fuck? Could I have gotten in trouble for violating prison politics? Maybe, right? But here's what happened. I broke the rules like I did every day of my life up until that point. That's what put me into that place. So obviously on day one of prison, I wasn't going to stop breaking the rules. So I broke the prison rules. I went out onto that deck, and I hung with the black inmates, and we played basketball, and we had a grand time. We took elbow shots to the face. Some of us got bloodied up. It was physical. It was violent. And at the end of that first day, in this pod, in this prison, out on that deck, I could tell I gained the respect of a lot of those fucking inmates. And over the next few days, and especially the first week, I pretty much had every one of those black inmates' respect out on that deck. And then, slowly but surely, after that first week, you started to see some congregating between both entities. The black inmates and the white inmates all of a sudden started mingling a little bit more. I hate to toot my own horn, but toot toot, because I think I had a big part in that. When you see a young buck like me come in and break stereotype or racial lines and say, hey, what the fuck are you guys living this way for? Let's just fucking come together and do what we want to do. Have fun while we're fucking here. Have the best time that we can while we're stuck in this fucking place and paying our price. Live the best way that we can. I think it took somebody that was younger like me to come in and show these old timers, because a lot of them were OGs. A lot of them have been to prison 3, 4, 5 fucking times. A lot of them is what we call lifers. They're in and out nonstop for 20, 30, 40 years. That's all they knew. But you get a young buck like me, and I kind of shook it up a little bit. And by the end of the 60 days in that pod, because I was there for a year, but what you do in that medium security prison, I know you do in a lot of prisons like that, is you don't stay the whole time in one pod. You could spend 60 days here, then they put you in another one for 3 or 4 months, then you might get relocated to another one. Like, for instance, there was there was boot camp pods, where you can literally try to get some of your time shaved off or live in better conditions, I guess, if you were in a boot camp pod. You would have to get up at like 4 a.m., and it was like a military pod. There was things like that. There was a substance abuse pod, which is mostly like you do more classes during the day. And those were like 30 and 60-day pods. So anyway, the end of that 60 days in that particular pod, that pod was a lot better off than when I first arrived. And people, you saw black inmates playing cards, you saw white inmates out on the deck. It was really fucking cool. And that's how I like, and that's the only way I've ever known how to live my life. Not seeing fucking people by just color, right? And I say that because I hate when people say, I don't see color. Everyone's just a human being to me. What do you mean you don't see color? You don't see someone's white, you don't see someone's... I hate when people say that. Because it's not really getting to the core of an issue. I see fucking color. I know when someone's black. I know when someone's a fucking Puerto Rican. I know when someone's Chinese. I know when someone else is white. And in meeting someone, in conversating, you want to be respectful to what you think their culture is and learn about it and ask the right questions. Be respectful. I hate when people just say, I don't see color. I see it, and I choose to live the way that I live, which is treating everybody the same, and I only have 2 ways to judge you. Either you're cool or you're an asshole. That's how I walk through life, and that's how I walk through that prison. You're cool or you're an asshole. I don't care what color you are. I'm not going to play these games. Even at 21, I know as many mistakes as I made in my life. I'm not going to play these racial games. You're cool or you're an asshole. And that's how I live my life. And that's one example. My 2 best friends in this world are Hispanic. The love of my life in this world, the first love of my life, was Chinese. Okay, so what does that tell you? You talk about multicultural, multiracial. In my life, I have lived a welcoming way of living. An open-minded way of living. A way of living that says you're cool, you're with me, you're an asshole, get the fuck away from me. I bring this up because I'm using myself, obviously, my channel, my story. I'm using myself as an example as to if anybody ever came up to me and questioned my stance on race and racism, you can point to my background literally with facts and say, well, the Amplified Man has a big range to speak from. He can factually give you evidence of how he's the farthest thing from a racist, right? Just in case that ever came into question. If I said something stupid, for instance, you could look at what I've done in my life, who I surround myself with, who is in my life, what I've stood up for, who I've stood up for. You can look at that. That is actually factual evidence. Now, on the flip side of that, there has been times within my 4 walls or within my close circle where I've said stupid, ignorant shit just to be mean, just because I was mad, just because I was angry. Now, granted, it was never racially driven, but they were still mean and angry things. For example, my coffee shop down on First Ave Starbucks. There's this awesome dude. He's always there almost every morning. Won't give out his name. Awesome dude, though. Little bit overweight. Nothing wrong with that. Awesome fucking guy. Never would I judge somebody by their appearance. But when he makes a fucked up coffee, because with him, it's always 50-50. You never know if he's going to make you a good one or a bad one. And my coffee, especially that first one in the day, that means a lot to the Amplified Man. And when he makes a really shitty coffee, I'm literally pissed. Like, for real. And there's time I'll be in my 4 walls and I'll be talking to a buddy of mine on the phone or anybody on the phone, and I'll be ranting and raving about this fucking coffee. And I'll say some mean shit about this guy that I actually like. And I'll say, this motherfucker, this fat fuck, all he knows how to do is fucking probably eat donuts and bagels, and when it comes to making coffee, he can't make it worth shit. I should go down there and snap his fucking neck in half, the dumb fuck. I've said shit like that. And then I'll be there the next morning, I'll be like, yo, what's up, blah, blah, blah. Well, again, I won't give up his name, and I'll fucking, because I like him. He's actually a good dude. And when he makes a great coffee, he's even a better dude to me. But there's times if I'm angry and I'm mad, I'm just not having a good day, it's early morning, I got a shitty coffee, and I just start ranting at the fucking guy. I don't actually hate him at all. I don't even have to say actually. I don't hate the motherfucker at all. I like him. I called him a fat fuck when I don't even judge people by appearance. And on top of that, criminally, I said I should go down there and snap his neck. Well, that's pretty fucking murderous of me. So right there, I not only did I judge somebody, not only was I mean, I fucking threatened them, right? Not them, but I said I should do something to. These are all things that I say out of anger and just spewing shit out of my mouth just because I want to say the meanest shit possible because I'm upset. I am mean, I am angry at that time, and I want to say mean shit. I think most of us can admit when we were within our four walls or we were with somebody that we could think we could trust on the phone or in conversation, we've said mean shit about somebody. Shit that we would never say on the outside or shouldn't and wouldn't say to their face. But it was just because we knew we could be absolutely ignorant for the moment. And we wanted to be over the top ignorant. We wanted to be really angry. For that minute, we wanted to just spew some fucking hatred for a minute. If that's not you, then that is awesome. That means you are much more of a morally compassed person than I am. And I'm not even being sarcastic. I give you a round of applause. Because that's awesome. There are some generally just awesome people in this world that they just don't have that streak of meanness at all. That's awesome. I do. And I know a lot of other people do. That doesn't make me a fat shamer or a body shamer. That doesn't make me somebody who wants to go around and injure people or who does. That doesn't make me a total asshole. I just spewed ignorant shit because for that moment I was ignorant because I most likely wanted to be ignorant because I wanted to be really mean. I was angry. That's just one example of many. But in your four walls, we say a lot of shit that we wouldn't necessarily say on the outside because we don't actually believe our own shit. It's just we could say it. We wanted to be ignorant. Or we just were that fucking enraged that we wanted to throw zingers. We wanted to say something that would sting. You've never been in a fight with your girlfriend or your boyfriend or a best friend or a family member or just a friend and you got into an argument or a fight and you said some really nasty shit, some mean shit. Doesn't have to be fucking racially driven, doesn't have to be fucking sexually driven, gender driven. Just mean shit. Their body, their appearance, fucking calling them a slut, a whore, this, that. Name calling them, just mean shit. And after the argument was done and after a day or two went by and you're like, fuck, I should have never said that. I don't believe that shit. It was not deserving for me to say that shit to them. I need to apologize. That was fucked up. But you knew at the time you wanted to hurt them. You wanted to throw zingers. You wanted to take some real ignorance and you didn't give a fuck. You just wanted to spew it because you wanted to let go of that anger and place it on somebody else in a really hurtful way. Right? Something as little as my coffee was fucking bad to I'm breaking up with my girlfriend and I want to hurt them so fucking bad. Where am I going with all this? You look at my past and clearly I'm a good dude, right? I stand up for everybody equally. I don't have a preference one way or the other or a take that's more than another's view. I look at everything the same and everybody the same and I literally make judgment calls off of facts and whether you're good or you're just a straight up scumbag. That's my past. I can literally give you 100 different factual events and people to stick up for me in those events and that'll stand up and validate those facts. I can literally give you 100 stories right now. But on the flip side, I can give you 100 stories where I've said incredibly mean shit within my four walls or within a conversation with somebody that I fully trust and just want to spew bullshit, nonsense, and mean shit to. I can give you 100 of those stories too. So what does that make me? Does that make me a good dude for what I've done, or does that make me an asshole and a douchebag for what I've said? It brings up a good question. How do you judge a human being? By what they do or by what they say? And most people would say it's a combination. You judge a person's character by what they do and by what they say. But I call bullshit if you think it's 50-50. A person's actions far outweigh what people say because I just gave you facts. And it ain't just me. I know there's so many other people in this world, and I would say the majority, that say mean, stupid shit behind closed doors. That they don't and won't say in public because mostly they don't believe the shit. And if you're not one of those, and you are perfectly perfect within your four walls and with who you talk to, and you don't say mean shit, that is awesome. That means you are the closest thing to perfect in the world. And if there's fucking heaven and if there's Christ and God, you are going to be the holy high anointed one. And people like me have a lot of splaining to do. I understand that. I'm the farthest thing from perfect. I've made more mistakes than probably all of you together combined. When I get up there to the big fucking the promised land and I look before God, I got a lot of splaining to do. And I got a lot of making up to do. I understand that. The cool thing is that all the mistakes I made in this world, I've been forgiven. And when I got mature enough, ever since that age of 20, there ain't no big mistake that I've made since. Because I've righted all my wrongs. And I've been a great addition to society instead of that hazard to society. Because I was forgiven. And because people just didn't solely judge me on what I said behind closed doors. When I was just being an ignorant fool. So where am I going with all of this, right? It's clear. You guys know exactly where. Hulk Hogan, years ago, he gets caught on tape in a phone conversation. He's pissed off. He's enraged about something his daughter did. It wasn't even about her boyfriend, who happens to have been black. It had nothing to do with him. It was something between him and Brooke. And Hogan was so enraged, he wanted to throw zingers out. And he threw zingers, man. And he even hit her boyfriend in this conversation. And said, why does she even have to fuck that? You can fill in the blank. You know the word. And it was on tape. That shit leaked out. A few years later. Was it years? I believe years later. Several years ago it leaked out. And that was Hulk Hogan's career in a nutshell, wasn't it? When that leaked out, everybody started coming out. Oh, what? Hulk Hogan did what? We want to hear from Hulk Hogan. What's this shit about? Hulk Hogan comes out in this interview with ABC, and he tells his story. He apologizes infinity amount of times over the next fucking... I don't think he stopped apologizing. This guy has apologized infinity amount of times. Now... everybody judges for themselves if they accept an apology or not. That's within people that don't know him, just fans, regular people that are not even fans, family, friends. Everybody is going to come to their own conclusion, whether they accept the apology or not. But first and foremost, you want the apology. Excuse me? What the fuck? Are you this evil person? Or do you want to fucking backtrack and apologize for something you said, buddy? I think you might want to apologize, right? Hogan went out and fucking apologized. He hasn't stopped since. So, on top of this apology, he speaks as to why he said his things. He wasn't justifying it. He wasn't saying it was right. He's telling you why he said what he said in that conversation. And he said he was so angry at Brooke that he just was spewing this anger. He just wanted to let that pain and anger out. And you do it in the most severe way. Just what I was telling you, right? That's what that whole cold open was about, guys. That whole first fucking opening statements from yours truly. is because it does make sense. Whether you believe it or not, whether it's fact or fiction, that's in the eye of the beholder, man. That's for you to decide. These are just my thoughts and opinions on the situation. Makes 100% clarity and sense, because when you step back, and you guys know what I like to do, I like to, you get the issue at hand, right? The issue, the problem, the big elephant in the room is that Hulk Hogan said these fucking things that can be and will be perceived as racist when you use that word. And then you take a step back, you want to hear from that guy now. What is your explanation of this? You hear the explanation, right? You get the facts. What are the facts of what the situation is? What is he now saying in his apology? And then you take a step back and you look about how he lived his life. This individual who's in question. In this case, it's Hulk Hogan. So you hear about the black individuals in his life. They start to step up, and they all stepped up in favor of Hulk Hogan. Everybody from The Rock to George Foreman to Dennis Rodman to Booker T. Booker fucking T. They all stood up and they said, Hulk Hogan ain't fucking racist. George Foreman said, that's not Hulk Hogan, not at all. The Rock says, in all the years I've known Hulk Hogan, never known him to be fucking racist at all. Dennis Rodman goes out and speaks so highly of Hulk Hogan. And Booker T says we should all just move on here. This is a learning experience. So the people, and so many others too, but all of these black individuals step up and say that's not Hulk Hogan. He's never done or said anything to show us fucking any sort of racism. So now you look into the moment in question. Within his walls, he is speaking to somebody who he trusts. He's letting out his anger. This isn't justifying, by the way. Again, this isn't justifying. This isn't trying to make it right or anything like that, guys. It was absolutely ignorant to the highest degree. It was one of the most stupidest things you could actually fucking say. It can be and will be perceived as racist, as I said. No question about it. I'm with you. There's no justifying. But this isn't about justifying something. This isn't about trying to make it right? This is about why it was said. What was the reasoning, right? It's like when a Democrat asks a Republican who voted for Trump, why did you vote for Trump? And that Republican starts to say why they believe in Trump, why they voted. And the second they start speaking, the Democrat is like, no, that doesn't make it right. That doesn't justify his actions and what he says. And the Trump supporter is like, all right, I wasn't trying to justify anything. You asked me why did I vote for him. I'm telling you. But the Democrat usually is just like, I don't want to hear this. No, absolutely not. But you asked the question. Too many times we want an answer to something, but when the answer starts to be told, we start shaking our head and already dismiss it because we think that answer is just justifying something. It's just trying to make something fucking right that was a clear wrong. But nobody's trying to argue the fact that it's not justifying it. Nobody's arguing the fact that it was absolutely wrong and 100% not right. We're just telling you why it was done. Hulk Hogan, in this case, was asked, why did you say these things? When everybody else is stepping up saying that is not you. And he said, you're right, that's not me. He said, I was suicidal, depressed to the point of suicidal at that time in my life. Everything was breaking apart. I felt emptiness. I was having this huge fight with Brooke. I was just letting anger out in any way possible, in the meanest way possible. And that's what I said. The interviewer for ABC, this is one of his first interviewers, she goes, are you a racist? What a question, right? Are you a racist? And Hulk Hogan's like, God, no, absolutely not. He's like, come on. No, there's no way. I mean, obviously he's not going to say, yes, I am. But like the way he answered that is like, come on, man, seriously? But then again, you don't take just his word for it. You get what is his excuse? What is his reasoning? And then you take a step back and you look at the people that knew him, you look at the facts, you look at how he lives his life. And there's no evidence that this guy was actually fucking racist at all. So why anybody would believe that that is not just what happened? He showed an abundant amount of ignorance that night. and used a very, very wrong way to go, did a very, very wrong thing to go about business. How he handled that fight with his daughter and how he talked about his daughter, beyond ignorant. But to banish this guy after he apologized and said, that's not me, what I did be inside those walls was letting out anger. I asked for forgiveness. And the people around him, the black community that knew him, stood up for him and said he's not racist. He still gets suspended and basically nullified from WWE. WWE acts like he wasn't even ever there. Non-existent, ever. They banish him, basically, out of the WWE Hall of Fame. When does that actually happen? This is after the apology, even. He immediately, when this leaked, started apologizing to every rich person that came up to him because he felt fucking horrible. But now WWE banishes him too, because now we live in a day and age where it doesn't matter if something goes to criminal court. It doesn't matter if you're found guilty of something. If you offend people in society, you're going to pay a heavy price these days. So Hulk Hogan just comes out with this thing that he said within the four walls, confines of his own privacy, to somebody he trusted in privacy. And because of that got leaked out. It was a mean thing. It was absolutely ignorant. It offended a group of fucking people and then some. And he got fucking banished from WWE. From pro wrestling, really. Lost everything. As if he wasn't already depressed and suicidal before. He lost everything. And you hear him in that interview talk about how he lost everything. He was absolutely fucking crushed. This hurt him more than anything, because not only did he lose everything, but B, he says in this interview, that's not who he is. It was just a moment of letting out ignorant rage and being as mean as possible and calling her boyfriend that word. And he goes on and says, I actually liked the guy. I actually liked her boyfriend. He's a good dude. I just wanted to be I was just angry and just letting out mean shit. That's why I opened up this video with those statements, because I've been there, man. Just because I didn't say mean racist shit doesn't mean I didn't say mean shit in my life. That I absolutely would take back if the person found out. If that guy at Starbucks found out I called him a fat shit, that would crush me, man. He'd probably laugh at it, but that would crush me, because that's not who I fucking really am, man. But when I'm fucking angry sometimes, I'm having a bad day, man, and my coffee's fucking horrible, and it's just something to spew out some fucking meanness. So I understand that. I can see how that is absolutely the truth. And then you see George Foreman and everybody else step up and say, that's not Hulk Hogan that I know. He ain't no fucking racist. It makes you see, like, how much do we drag this guy then? Absolutely, it was ignorant. But like Booker T says, even Mark Henry said, we can use this as a learning experience and make an impact with this, rather than just drag somebody through the mud, not forgive them. But, and I will wrap this up in a minute, guys. I'm sorry if these thoughts are all over the place, but I'm just saying, like, the guy apologizes. We come to find out everyone around him agrees, never did or said anything else that was fucking racist. If he did, it was always just within his fucking private. And some people will say, well, that's when a true character comes out, when they are within their own walls. I call bullshit on that. I call absolute bullshit. That's a cute thing to say. A real person's character comes out when they're all alone, right? No, that's bullshit. That's when you can let out shit that is not you, man. When I'm the most fucking angry inside of my fucking walls, be careful, because everything that I'm not and everything that I wouldn't say, I'm fucking gonna say. And then about 2 hours later, when I'm all fucking calmed down, I'm gonna take all that shit back, because I don't mean any of it. That's not how I fucking live my life. And again, that's evidenced by how I fucking live my life. Anybody can fucking see that. Anybody would vouch for me. I'm sure most of us are like that. When we're in our fucking privacy, we let loose in ways we wouldn't, because we want to be fucking mean. We want to let anger go. We just want to be ignorant and just let it fucking out, because we know that's not us out there in the world. Moments of stupidity, I call them. And then an hour or two later, you get a moment of clarity. It's okay to do that. It's not okay to say shit like that totally agreed. Hulk Hogan took it to the next level, racially speaking. And that's never justified, man. Absolutely not. But to drag him for how long? For years, he was banished from pro wrestling. For years, people just labeled him. As much as he apologized, he was labeled, he was banished. Lost everything, the career that he built. Even when people stood up and said that's actually not him, he was just ignorant that night, or whenever he spoke like that, that's ignorance. And he's got to become a better person. He apologized infinity amount of times. Years have gone by when society fucking ambushed him and WWE banished him. He took it all on the chin for years. Finally, WWE says, fine, you know what? We see no evidence that you're a fucking racist or that you're fucking a menace to society culturally, nationality-wise, race-wise. It was an act of stupidity, an act of ignorance. Enough people have come to your aid and said that's not you. You've apologized infinity amount of times. You served your societal sentence. You know, we're putting you back in the Hall of Fame. And before I get to how Titus O'Neil and the New Day respond, let me just say, nobody can tell a person of color how to feel. You just can't. If you're not a person of color, then you can't say how somebody should feel. Right? That always boggles my mind. Like when people, like you take a white person and just say like, oh, they should just get over it. Or it's not a big deal. Or just forgive them and move on. You can never just tell somebody, a person of color, that because you don't know how they're feeling. You have to take a step back. Try to put yourself in their shoes on the given situation or circumstance. For this instance, right, if I use me, I can't really because I'm just a fucking white kid, right? Okay, so you say, okay, you call me a honky, a cracker, or fucking any other white fucking term that you want to say to a white person. It's not really going to have an effect on us, man. You can call me a cracker any which way. You can call me fucking a saltine. You can call me a honky or a honker or a hong-dingling or a fucking honkaroo. It's not going to really affect me, right? Because for white people, it's just different. Racially, you're not going to really lay a zinger on us. So I can't use me, but that doesn't mean I can't put myself in their shoes and think about what they might be going through. So how do I go about that? Well, wonder if you had a black girlfriend, you love her. She is everything in your world. She is your other half. You work for WWE now. You find out that Hulk Hogan, after all the bullshit that was said and done, is coming back. Right? How do you feel? You're at catering, you're sitting at a table, the only seats left are next to Hulk Hogan. You have your black girlfriend you love, it's your second half, she means more to you than food and water itself. And you're sitting down next to Hulk Hogan. First of all, you love this girl. And you know what Hulk Hogan said. She is the black person in the situation. She has to sit next to a guy who said those things. Me and her are gonna feel pretty fucking awkward in that situation and not really 100% fucking cozy and comfy. We're not gonna be having a great time eating that lunch, are we? So you think about Titus O'Neil and the New Day, and they're at a table now with Hulk Hogan after they know what he said. Now, sure, everything I said, I fully believe. I fully believe Hulk Hogan is not a fucking actual racist. He is ignorant. Ignorance is a key ingredient in the recipe of racism. However, ignorance is not the sole ingredient in racism. Most of us living in this world today have ignorance in us. We say ignorant shit at times, we'll do ignorant shit. Racially speaking, saying something ignorant doesn't automatically qualify you as a racist. In today's society, every time somebody says something racist out of anger or whatever the fuck, we automatically label them as a racist because they said something that was derogatory toward race. But that doesn't automatically make them racist. And we live in a very slippery slope society and world today if that's how we're going to label people. The second they say something derogatory toward a group, a faction, a race, anything, we automatically label them. even though everything else in their life doesn't show that. Everybody in their life stepped up and said they're not this and that, but that they portrayed in the comments. That they're not. But we brush all of that to the side and we say, no, that one comment is going to ruin you forever. And we may never forgive you. That sounds a little heavy to me. That sounds really fucking heavy, actually. But you can't tell a person of color how to feel about it because they have to sit down at that table knowing that somebody said something mean about them or their people. Just because he didn't say it about Titus or didn't say it about the New Day, he still said it about a black person. And now they're sitting at that table and they're looking at Hulk and they're like, well, how do you feel about me, right? But again, just because I fully believe Hulk is not fucking racist, he said something very ignorant that was along racial fucking lines of stupidity to the utmost degree. What do you do if you work within WWE and you have to rub shoulders with Hulk? There's no right or wrong. There's no justifying it or not. Titus O'Neil, New Day, every fucking black motherfucker in that locker room has every right to feel how they want to feel. And nobody that's not a person of color or not in their shoes can tell them how to feel. So just telling them to forget and move on, no, they shouldn't. They should draw their own facts and conclusions and go about it whichever way they feel best. My problem I have with Titus and with New Day is that they deliver and they put out these statements to the world out on their social media about how they're okay with Hulk being restated into the WWE Hall of Fame. However, they're not going to fully accept his apology. They did not feel it was genuine enough. New Day said they just will choose in the future not to associate with people like that or whatever the fuck along those lines. Titus O'Neil coming right out and saying he didn't believe the genuine nature of it because he talked about how he didn't know he was being recorded. So, if they had such a problem with it, my thing is, go to the man and say, hey, Hulk Hogan stepped up in front of the boys and gals in the locker room and gave a speech. No matter how authentic you thought it was, that takes fucking balls to do, and he took the initiative at least. Now, if you walked away as Titus O'Neil New Day and you weren't feeling that apology, nothing wrong with that. Absolutely not. But now maybe go about it a different way. Maybe go up to him and go, hey, Hulk, thanks for doing that. Mighty big of you. I gotta be honest with you, not feeling it, man. And I want you to know that I'm not going out of my way to disrespect you in the future by not talking to you or not looking at you. But I need more time. Or I need you to do X, Y, Z, right? Titus O'Neil is big in the black community. Titus O'Neil is a big advocate of a lot of shit. He couldn't have gone to Hulk and say, Hulk, maybe if you... Help the Hulk! Maybe the Hulk doesn't have all the answers, doesn't know how to make this fully right. Maybe he'll never be able to make it right. But maybe he doesn't even know where to start. Help him. Titus is good at that shit. Go up to him and be like, Hulk, this is going to be a big learning experience for everybody. Not just white people, but for black people, for everybody. And maybe Titus can give him tips. But what their statement, instead of going up to Hulk or even sending him a text, send him an email. Don't be a coward about it. Be man to man. It wasn't sincere enough for me. I don't like it. Instead, they give out these mass fucking letters, basically, on social media. And they talk about how Hulk did this fucking I'm sorry speech. They didn't buy into it. They don't mind him going into the Hall of Fame, but they're not going to brush shoulders with him anymore. They choose not to be around people like that. They're not going to forgive him fully. And it's like, until I think Titus said, until he shows that he's not the person he says he's not, or whatever the fuck. And I'm like, well, how is he going to prove this shit if you don't help him? How? You want him to hold little black babies and kiss them, don't kick them. Hold little black babies, kiss them on their forehead, and dance around to the Hulkamania theme music? Do you want him to run black summer camps? What do you want him to do? Help him. Maybe go to high schools around the country and speak about shit like this. That's a real thing. When I first went to, I never got diagnosed because I never went to anybody for my fucking issues, but I was probably an alcoholic at 15 years old. It took till the age of 20 years old for me to finally wake up. And that's only because at 21, I finally went to prison, and that made me mature. But when I was finally getting mature in prison, and after about 9 months, I made it to minimum security. Minimum security was cool because every once in a while, you got to go out and make speeches over at high schools and middle schools and elementary schools. And I got to teach people not to drink and drive, and while drinking and drugs are bad for you. And I would have people coming up, kids and parents and teachers coming up to me crying afterwards. After they heard my story and heard my speech. And they were in tears. They know somebody that this happened to, or they vow that it'll never be them because they felt my passion. That's cool. Baby Hulk can do that. Help him! Don't just come out with this shit about how you probably won't ever be able to forgive him, or it's going to take a lot more time, and maybe one day he'll prove to me. Help him. Help him out. The people that... Titus O'Neil and New Day don't even really know Hulk Hogan. But the black people that know Hulk Hogan stepped up and said that's not him. Talk to them, maybe. They can tell you stories about Hulk Hogan. Again, never would I tell you how to feel. I'm telling you, help him out then. Maybe that's a better way to go about it. Maybe. What do I know? What do I know, right? These are just my thoughts and opinions on the situation, man. My only question is, where is the line drawn between forgiving somebody, giving them the second chance, helping them flourish, and everybody learns a valuable lesson in all this? Where's the line between that and the line between not forgiving somebody, holding on to that resentment and that grudge, holding on to the I'm offended and we're not going to take it anymore? What lesson is being learned that way? That it's not tolerable? It's not going to be accepted? Is that going to stop people from using their own fucking words and meanness and ignorance within their four walls? Probably not. It might just make it worse. Food for thought, something to think about. Again, there ain't no preaching here. These are just my thoughts and opinions. Everybody's got their own on the situation. This is my channel. This is how I wanted to fucking spew some thoughts, man. There's no right or wrong. There's no justifying. For sure. And nobody can tell anybody how to think about a situation. Always remember that when you're trying to convey your thoughts. There's no right or wrong in this, man. Somebody was wrong in what was said. And now we try to correct it. We try to fucking make this, as Mark Henry and Booker T said, a learning experience. And maybe we all can move on. What's the best way to go about it? I don't know. I just know that sending out social media letters, basically, like the New Day and Titus did, and not coming to Hulk and being a man and saying, I don't buy into your bullshit. Prove to me. If you don't know how, that's cool. I can help you. I can give you ways. I think that's a better way to go, but that's just me, man. How do you guys feel, man? Drop it down below. Especially, man, I know I got a huge black audience on this fucking channel as subscribers, man. I know my African American community is fucking strong out there. Don't step away now. Tell me how you fucking feel too, man, down below. What's your take on it? There's no right or wrong, as long as every comment is respectful. Now, I'm not just talking toward me, I'm talking about toward each other. There'll be no fighting, there'll be no arguing down below. Your shit will never make the comments list, I promise you. You'll never pass moderation. Your comment will never even be seen if you're going to be rude or inconsiderate or try to fight with other subscribers down below. It's not going to happen. This is a zero tolerance policy on disrespect. 100%. But in a respectful way, let's hear what you guys got to say, man. Do you forgive Hulk and even maybe shake his hand and say, dude, let's move on. I'll even help you? Or do you say, I'm not feeling it right now. I'm going to need more time. We'll see what the future holds. No right or wrong. Drop it down, man. Ain't nobody going to fucking convict you for your thoughts. You know what I mean? Now, guys, that was probably well over a half an hour of that shit, maybe my opening statement. But that's a heavy thing going on right now. A heavy storyline, the top storyline right now. And it's a cultural, societal conversation as well, just race in society. And where's the line? Where do we forgive and what is unforgivable? What is an actual racist person and what is just a racist comment or derogatory comment? What is just ignorance and what is actual racism, which is hating an actual race of people? That's racism. If you honestly think Hulk Hogan hates black people, then your thought process is probably 100% different than mine, man, because ain't no facts have come out that he fucking hates black people. That's racism. I see a moment, and maybe there's several moments that were not even recorded, of ignorance, and hopefully he stops that shit and gets better, becomes a better person. Anybody that can help him do it, man. Honestly. That's how I live my life. I know that's why I can say that to people. It's because when I see somebody that needs help, if I can give you any type of help at all, I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to try to make you a better person. In the process, hopefully, I'll become a better person too. Let's move on with amplified Q&A. What do you say? So before I start Q&A, I just want to say, guys, that I apologize for any questions I do not get to. There's so many questions every week, man. I can only get to so many, and I try to answer a bunch. You guys know that, but I can't get to all of them. So I apologize. Hopefully, I can get to a question of yours next week or in the weeks to come, maybe, right? But thank you guys definitely. And here we go, about 40-something minutes at least into this video, and I'm now just starting to get to some questions. But let's have some fun. We'll start over on YouTube. I always go Twitter first. But we've had a lot of YouTube questions as of late, so let's go over there. Woken Matt Hardy. Is this the Woken Matt Hardy? BC, do you prefer anything from WWE today more than the Attitude Era? Much love and respect. Much love and respect right back to you, Woken Matt Hardy. Both the real Woken Matt Hardy and you, if you're not the real Woken Matt Hardy. No. How's that for an answer? That's probably the shortest answer I've ever had to give on an amplified Q&A. Do I prefer anything from WWE today more than the Attitude Era? No. No. Everything from the Attitude Era was better than everything in today's product. It's just the way I feel. That's a very direct answer for you. Shy Joe, I don't know if you've answered this before, but what are the worst storylines you have seen in pro wrestling? Honestly, Shy Joe, 75% of what WWE puts out is horrible storylines. So, I mean, basically anything in the last 10 to 15 years, without question, right? But if I had to think of some off the top of my head, it would be like the... actually, this goes kind of hand in hand with my opening statements of this video. And that's storylines that they feel you need to put down somebody or shame somebody or send derogatory comments or statements towards. Like the Jinder Mahal-Shinsuke Nakamura feud. Those weeks where Jinder Mahal was coming out and just making fun of Shinsuke Nakamura's appearance, the way he talks, the way he looks, that was honestly cringe. I literally wanted to change the channel, guys. It wasn't that I was like offended, but I was. But I don't want to be lumped into, today's society gets too offended by everything. I hate that shit. I hate PC shit, and I hate how everyone's getting offended by shit. But that really was cringeworthy. I didn't understand why you had... That's the only way you could build this story, is to make fun of fucking Shinsuke Nakamura, the way he talks, the way he looks. I hated that. Same thing from 2009. Remember Piggy James and, who was it? Layla and fucking, I think Michelle McCool were picking on Mickey James, and they were pretty much fat-shaming her, right? And they were just making fun of her appearance and calling her names, like Piggy James. And I'm like, that's the best you got storyline-wise? I hate shit like that. Shit, man. I think, though, the worst thing for me, maybe it wasn't a story, it kind of was a storyline. 1990, the Gobbledygooker. You guys remember 1990, there was this huge egg, and everybody wanted to know for weeks what was going to be in this egg, and finally it hatched. I know this sounds weird if you've never seen Survivor Series 1990, but this egg, this huge egg hatched. We didn't know if it was going to be a new superstar, somebody we're already used to. What's it going to be? It ends up being this guy in a turkey suit. And he just starts dancing around the ring with Mean Gene Okerlund. And I was like, what the fuck was... I couldn't have been more than, 5 years old-ish at the time. And even I knew that was dumb as fuck. Had I only known what was to come in the year 2018, and in the last 10 years, man, It's along the same lines as that shit. But the Gobbledygooker was just a horrible tragedy of a storyline. Hornswoggle being introduced as what, Vince McMahon's kid? That would probably be up there with the worst storylines. Hornswoggle is introduced as Vince McMahon's son. That's about as believable as Jason Jordan is Kurt Angle's son. They fucked up on that storyline too. It should have been Chad Gable. Forget the fact that Jason Jordan is actually black, but the fact that Chad Gable just looks the part to be Kurt Angle's son, the way he wrestles, his size and stature, everything about Chad Gable, that would be more believable. Hornswoggle, the son of Vince McMahon, not believable at all. So that's another horrible storyline. But again, 75% of what we've seen in the last 10 to 15 years, Shy Joe, that's horrible storylines as well. Jay Troy, what's going on, BC? Not too much, Jay Troy. Hopefully all is good with you. If you had to send five talents from the main roster down to NXT, who would they be? Aiden English, for sure. The Revival, we'll count them as one. Revival as one. So Aiden English, Revival, Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, we'll do them as one too. I think that's fair, right? Counting them as one. So Revival counts as one. Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville counts as one. Aiden English, No Way Jose, and Tamina. All five of those, or seven, whatever it equals out to, I would send all of them down because they're not doing shit on the main roster. Or they need to be repackaged. Or they need to learn more. Or get a better character. Wrestle better. Whichever. Each one's kind of different for why I would send them down. But those are just 5 to 7 names off the top of my head that I would bring straight the fuck down because they're just taking up room on the main roster. Samuel, hey BC, if Strowman does cash in at SummerSlam, he'll probably hold it to Survivor Series, I'm thinking. If WWE books another champion versus champion match, who do you think should face him as WWE champion? So basically what Samuel is putting up here is Survivor Series is the event. Universal Champion is Braun Strowman. If Vince orders a champion versus champion match, who takes on Braun Strowman? I would say AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan or Samoa Joe. If we're talking SmackDown talent that would be champion at that time. AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan can both kind of give that David versus Goliath type match. And that would be intriguing for a world title. Or champion versus champion, I should say. And if not David versus Goliath type storyline with AJ and Daniel, I would like to see a monster versus a beast. The monster Braun Strowman versus a beast in Samoa Joe. That would be an ass whipper versus an ass whipper. We know Samoa Joe had a good match against Brock Lesnar. I know for sure he learned some of those lessons. He's going to be even better next time. And the next time isn't Brock, it's Braun. So I would be cool with that as well if it's going to go champion, if we had that type of scenario at something like Survivor Series. Good question, Samuel. Scott, question BC. Did you hear that Nikki Cross was at live events with Becky Lynch? Yes, I did hear that. She's been at several actually the last 2 weeks. Here's what boggles my mind. They actually have her in multi-person tag matches, multi-women tag matches. That's not the part that boggles my mind. That's what WWE does anyway. The part that boggles my mind, Scott, is that they have her on the face team. Listen to these fucking this is real shit. In one town, it was an 8-woman tag. Asuka, Becky Lynch, Naomi, and Nikki Cross versus Carmella, Lana, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville. So they have Nikki Cross on the face squad. Now you think maybe they're just testing her out there, right? Well, in another town, on another night, they had a 6-woman tag. This was with Asuka, Becky Lynch, and Nikki Cross. So again, Nikki Cross is on the face team against Lana, Rose, and Deville. Why the fuck are they putting Nikki Cross, somebody who could be an ass-kicking, big-time heel for any roster, Raw or SmackDown, and they're using her as a face? Nikki Cross? Add that to the list of fucked up shit that WWE does to their talent. No sense at all. Next up, we'll go Chris Wade. Great videos on Raw and SmackDown this week, BC. My question is, thank you, Chris. My question is, at SummerSlam, do the women's titles need to change hands on both shows? Keep the good vibes coming. Or videos. Videos and vibes, right? I'll keep both going. Videos and vibes will keep coming from the Amplified Man. No, the titles don't need to change hands on both brands for the women at SummerSlam. Ronda Rousey definitely needs that championship from Alexa Bliss. Because Alexa Bliss cannot go another fucking 6-9 months with that championship. Fuck no, man. Somebody take that the fuck off of her. And secondly, it's Ronda Rousey. In real life, she was beating people in 14 seconds. Snapping arms, tapping ladies out, knocking them out, whatever the fuck. You're damn right she could take the title from Alexa Bliss in 10 seconds. Come on now, man. So that one definitely does. Carmella dropping it. If they want to go Carmella versus Becky Lynch, as much as I love Becky Lynch's new momentum, I didn't necessarily think or say that Becky should be picking up championships anytime soon. We've already seen Becky Lynch with the strap. That kind of fell flat. If they're going to give it back to Becky Lynch, I hope they have much more creative ways to go about this title reign with Becky Lynch. If not, then that belt does not need to be leaving Carmella at this point. Because if so, all of this was just to put the belt on Becky Lynch at SummerSlam. Asuka losing her streak so Charlotte could pick up that W, just for Charlotte to drop the strap over to Carmella, just so Carmella could drop the strap to Becky. All of this, starting with Asuka losing everything at WrestleMania, was all just to get the strap to Becky Lynch at SummerSlam. No thank you. I'm all set with that. We love Becky Lynch. But that better not be your ultimate payoff. Fuck that shit. TJA Gaming. BC, just want to say I love the videos and you're my favorite YouTuber. Thank you, TJA Gaming. For Q&A, how is Tyler's Day 30 going? And where is Dean Ambrose? Much love and respect. The big dog. Thanks, TJA Gaming, man. My movie, that's what Tyler's Day, for those of you new subscribers, Tyler's Day 30 is a movie that I am directing. I'm going to produce this thing myself. I'm starring in it as well. It's a movie that I started making last summer. We made great gains already this summer. I hope to have the movie completed film-wise, filming all done by the end of this summer. That's my hope anyway. As far as how it's going, man. A lot more obstacles. Making a movie, there's nothing easy about it. I try to take a step back and I have fun with the process because I know in 10, 15, 20 years I'm going to look back. No matter how much success I've either gained or didn't gain, I'm going to look back at the first ever movie I ever made with not a lot of money, not a lot of resources, not a lot of actors and actresses, but the core group that we did have, the little bit of money that we did have, the obstacles that we had to overcome, and the little successes that ended up making the ultimate movie become a reality. I'm going to look back at all of that and with a smile, I think. And I don't want to just do that in 10, 15, 20 years from now. I want to do that as I'm making the movie. I want to take a step back every time I'm filming, or every day I just wake up. Maybe I'm not filming that day, but I want to just remember what I get to do, man. I get to make a fucking movie. It's badass. And I try to smile even when there's obstacles. But there's still a lot of obstacles to overcome. A lot of adversity we're kind of fighting off, man. It's an independent movie, man, and they are not easy to make. It's hard enough when you have a big production company giving you a $2 to $5 to $10 million budget. It's hard enough to make a movie, and you have fucking hundreds of people on your staff. But when you don't have a shitload of money that you put aside for this, because I mean, I could put more and more into the movie, but that's not smart. I'm not going to put in fucking $20,000 to make a movie, you know, that we don't even know if it would see that type of profit. And you're not going to go and get 100 actors that want to be in your fucking movie, because then that becomes a circus too. Where does everyone placed? It's hard. And I'm trying to love the process, but it is a hard process. So as far as how is it coming, it's coming along. It's a lot of obstacles, man. But when the time is right, and this movie is put out there and I get to tell my side of the story on how it was actually like to film this movie, and I get a chance to look back at it, I'm sure I'm going to do it with a smile, and I'm going to have a lot of great stories to tell. But I hope to have the filming done by the end of summer, and then we start the process of editing, the feeling out process for distribution, the actual distribution process, all of that fun stuff, the marketing, the promotionals. That'll kick in hopefully this winter. So there's still a long process to go, but it's coming. Second part of your question, where's Dean Ambrose? Well, he's any day now is what we first heard. He's at the Performance Center and he's training. We heard he was any day, week to week. Now we're starting to hear it might be, or it could be, after SummerSlam. They might be holding off. They don't want to rush him back. But from what we were originally hearing is he's going to be ready a few weeks before SummerSlam. So it could be anywhere in August, guys. But definitely by September, Ambrose is coming back. Cass with a K. So maybe, Cass. I would say Cass. Simple question here. Truth and Ty for tag team gold? ? And he's saying that because I left some great statements about Ty Dillinger and R-Truth on this past Tuesday's SmackDown review reaction video that I put out. I left some really good comments about R-Truth and Ty Dillinger. And as far as putting belts on them, no, absolutely not, man. Just because they're great at comedy, just because they have charisma, just because I know they can go in the ring too, doesn't mean you throw straps on them, because B-Team was the same way. I'm really high on the B-Team. I like the B-Team. I wanted to see more of the B-Team. I want their winning streak to continue. That didn't necessarily mean throw tag team championships on them. That was going a little bit too far, I felt. Same thing with Dillinger and Truth. Let's get them out there in the ring. Let's get them on a little winning streak. Let's give them the time of day a little bit, but let's not go too far and throw tag straps on them. That's a little bit too far. Amanda, for Q&A, 2 questions. 1, can you say this in Braun Strowman's voice? I'm not finished with you. Hopefully that was good for you, Amanda. Just wait till I cash in my money in the lunchbox. That is kind of Braun-esque, right? I love doing my Braun voice. Thanks for having me do that, Amanda. Number 2, you're asking, are you going to do more freestyles like the Braun Strowman one that you did? I am in the future, absolutely. I love those freestyles. Haven't done one in a long time. I did one on Sasha. I did one on Braun. I haven't done one in a while. For those of you new subscribers, holla at your boy. I can do a mean freestyle rap, all right? I can put together some lyrics that'll knock you on your ass, I promise you. We'll do one in the future for sure, Amanda. Sky, BC, what's the best or your favorite live event that you have been to? Keep up the great work. Thank you, Sky. I've been to a lot of great events, man, honestly, all up and down the East Coast, man. From Connecticut, I saw WrestleMania 11 live. It wasn't the best WrestleMania in the world, but it was really cool to see live. Lawrence Taylor versus Bam Bam Bigelow. Diesel versus Shawn Michaels. Up in Massachusetts, I saw In Your House D-Generation X pay-per-view back in 1997. Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Steve Austin drove his pickup truck into the arena, to the ring. I think D'Lo Brown, went through the windshield, somebody. The main event was Ken Shamrock and Shawn Michaels for the heavyweight championship. Ken Shamrock won by disqualification. A boot camp match with Sergeant Slaughter versus Triple H, so that was a good pay-per-view. One of my favorite events was just a live event here in Madison Square Garden. I'll never forget it. Where was I leaving? There was some acting gig, I think, that I was coming from. We got out like 3 to 4 hours early. We were supposed to be there till like 10, 11 o'clock at night, something like that. And so I got to leave early. I think we were in Brooklyn. I took I forgot what the fuck train I was taking back. But I was on the yellow line, so I did a little detour. Because on the yellow line, we get off at around Lexington. So, was on the fucking green line. I must have been on the green line. Either way, I got off at around Lexington, and I walked all the way toward Madison Square Garden because I was just interested to see if there was any tickets left for the Madison Square Garden live event that night. It was just a live event, not a pay-per-view. But I'm like, I'm available. I have the whole night ahead of me when I thought I was going to be on set working. Let's see if there's a ticket. I go up to the counter. The guy says I got second row for just $80. $80 for a second row ticket. I was like, that's mine. Thank you. I fucking grabbed that ticket. I was second row 20 minutes fucking later, man. This is when Nexus. Do you guys remember when Nexus debuted and they would come through the audience, through the crowd? This is when they were just fresh. Wade Barrett, all of them. Skip Sheffield may have still been with him. In fact, he was, right? This was the fucking Darren Young, all of them. David Otunga. And where I was sitting, second row, they came through the crowd right next to me. I have video of it. I got pictures, man. They were just like right fucking there, man. Jumping the barricade. And you knew something was going to happen, too, because security was getting ready for him. You had the suits and tie telling security, like, step away. These people are coming through. So you knew people were coming through. Sure enough, in that main event, Nexus jumps the barricade. That was an awesome event that I went to as well live. I've been very grateful and thankful because I've been to a lot of great live events. Pay-per-views, Raws. I've been to a Monday Night Raw in New Hampshire. That was kick-ass. Chris Benoit got the shit kicked out of him. I forgot by who it was. But Raw went off the air with Benoit just a bloody mess near the broadcast booth on the outside. And back then, you could see when Raw went off the air on the Titantron. And then we were just there. I was so close that I was looking over the barricade and just Chris Benoit was all fucked up at this one Monday Night Raw. So many events, man. Yeah, but good question, Sky. That takes me down memory lane, man. I saw a lot of cool events live. Deja, what are your thoughts on Charlotte coming back to face Carmella at SummerSlam and Becky Lynch turning heel? And eventually we see Lynch versus Charlotte for the strap. I'm cool with that, man. Charlotte versus Carmella at SummerSlam sells me a little bit more than Becky Lynch versus Carmella. It just does. And I know a lot of people will be like, Charlotte had her chance. She's had her time. Let Becky Lynch in there. Well, Becky Lynch had time too, man. She fell flat on her face too, man. That was a boring reign that Becky Lynch had. But if you want to see Becky Lynch and Carmella more than Charlotte and Carmella, that's cool. For me, it's a little bit of a more bigger fight feel to see Charlotte and Carmella. But either way, Becky Lynch turning heel on Charlotte and setting up Charlotte and Becky Lynch in the future, that really sells to me. That compels me to want to see that. And you can flip-flop it, though. If Becky Lynch does take on Carmella at SummerSlam, maybe Charlotte does a run in, and turns heel by attacking Becky Lynch. I'm down with either one, Deja. Samuel, hey BC, big fan of you. My question is, thank you, Samuel. My question is, I've noticed the 1000th episode of SmackDown is coming up. How would you book it from not being a disaster like Raw 25 was? That is true, Samuel. SmackDown 1000 is coming up this October 16th. I won't book the whole thing because this video will go 2 fucking hours because of my open statements being 40-something minutes. But I would book this badass, man. I'll book the first 15 to 20, 25, 30 minutes of this show, the first segment or two, all right? And I would start off right when we zoom into SmackDown. We come off from the previous show. Now we're on SmackDown, and I start off with a message from The Rock, pumping everybody up and congratulating SmackDown. We go from The Rock's message to a video package, 3, 4, 5 minutes long, of just the last fucking, from episode number 1 to episode 999 of SmackDown, and all of these big highlights, all in this video package that gets people very emotional. And then we go right to Vince McMahon coming down to ringside. And Vince is kind of playing his heel, and he's talking about how he's the one who created SmackDown by himself. And here comes Eric Bischoff down the aisle next. Bischoff returns. And Bischoff is telling Vince, hey, there'd be no SmackDown if we didn't force you to up your ante, up your game in the pro wrestling business. WCW, under my tutelage, under my jurisdiction, under my eye, we made you a better product. We made SmackDown come to be. And Vince is like, let me tell you something, buddy, to Eric Bischoff. But before he could finish his statement, ECW's Paul Heyman comes down the ring. And Paul Heyman's like, yes, normally I'm advocating for Brock Lesnar. Or by then, Brock might even be out of WWE. This is October 16th. So maybe we don't even see Brock Lesnar from SummerSlam to October. That would make it even better. But either way, Paul Heyman comes down and says, normally, yeah, I'm advocating for Brock, but I had to come out here and just ask both of you if you're delusional, because it was ECW that made both of your companies up your game. And without ECW, there would be no SmackDown. So I deserve big credit on this. And Vince McMahon goes to tell both of them where they can stick it. But before they can do that, or he can do that, here comes Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. They come down the ringside. Stephanie McMahon, Triple H. Triple H is on the mic at this point. He's telling them, guys, you can all take a seat outside. Just get out of the ring. You're living in the past. People like me and Steph, we're going to usher the future. We're going to make sure that the next 1,000 episodes of SmackDown are going to be the best episodes of SmackDown. So while you guys live in the past and have your little fucking hissy fit, can you do that out of the ring? Because we got a lot of action we're bringing to the ring under our watchful eye. So Triple H and Stephanie are pretty much ushering the new generation. And this is leaving Vince, even Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman like, wow, the balls. But before Triple H and Stephanie McMahon can get the night of action going, Shane McMahon comes down the ringside. Shane gets in the ring, gets on the mic and says, excuse me, you're going to usher in the next 1,000 episodes? Who bestowed you that power? Last I checked, nobody bestowed that power on you over me. I'm the son of Vince McMahon. I have just as much right to this show, to this company, than you two do. That's a fun storyline that gets Triple H in Shane McMahon's face. Listen, buddy, you've always had a problem with me. You never liked me from the moment I started dating Stephanie, and you've always made that clear just by your facial expressions. You got something to say to me? And Shane McMahon says, I absolutely despise you, if I'm being honest. And Triple H is like, then why don't you do something about it? And they set up a match right there, right now, starting off SmackDown 1000. Shane McMahon versus Triple H. And Stephanie's in the middle just like, I don't know, this is my brother, but this is my husband. Where do I stand in this? And sure enough, that match actually happens. They get a referee down. Shane takes on Triple H in an actual match. And this is perfect timing. This absolutely could happen too because, I mean, if somebody was to book this, it could happen realistically. It's not going to, obviously. Nobody's as creative as me in WWE. But realistically, it could because around October, November, they're running huge events outside of the United States. Triple H is involved in them. In one of those events, Undertaker is taking on Triple H. So Triple H is going to be in shape and everything around October, November. This is October 16th. So Triple H could go on SmackDown 1000. Don't be surprised if Triple H is actually wrestling on that card anyway. But I would have that the first match. It's a fun match. Shane McMahon, Triple H. It's a grudge match we've all wanted to see for so long. We get to see it right there, man. And at the end of this match, they're brawling so much that the referee gets knocked down. Or they shove the referee to get out of their way because they just want to beat the shit out of each other. The referee falls down. He's kind of down and out for a minute. Stephanie McMahon grabs a fucking sledgehammer. The old school Triple H fucking weapon of choice. She brings in the sledgehammer. But it's Shane McMahon who's getting up kind of first to his knees. And Shane's looking at Stephanie like, what are you doing? And Stephanie's looking like at Shane like, you're my brother. Can I honestly give this to Triple H? Can I do this to my own brother? And Triple H starts to come too. And they're all fucking groggy and droggy and beaten up. And sure enough, Stephanie hands the sledgehammer to Triple H. And Shane McMahon is so fucking woozy. And I can already picture it in my mind. Shane would sell this so good. Shane's on his knees. Just fucking all like, give me your best shot. He can't even fend it off. He's so beaten up. Triple H is too. Triple H can hardly swing the motherfucker. But Triple H is like, you motherfucker, you don't know when to shut up, you don't know when to quit. And he gives him a shot to the side of his face. Obviously, his hand will be cuffing the sledgehammer, so nobody's really getting drilled here. But the illusion is sledgehammer to the side of the face. Stephanie wakes up the ref. 1, 2, 3. Triple H with a huge victory over Shane McMahon. Celebration is on. Stephanie McMahon and Triple H over Shane. Vince McMahon is still on the outside at this point. Vince McMahon's still on the outside. Even Paul Heyman, Eric Bischoff. I would have them all like watching this match on the outside. And there's a celebration of sorts. The new ushering in of that new era of Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, really. And out of nowhere, no music. He just slides in the ring. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Triple turns around. Boom! Stunner! Triple H gets fucking rocked to his core. Austin goes to stunner Steph. Steph's able to roll out of the ring like, what the fuck is happening? Boom, man. Stone Cold's music. The glass shatters. Beers are getting thrown in the ring. Stone Cold celebrating. Stone Cold stops the music. He says, congratulations to SmackDown for 1,000 episodes. And here's to another 1,000. Cause that's the bottom line. Cause Stone Cold said so. Boom! Shattered that glass for the second time. Beers are flying. Fucking music is blasting. Stone Cold goes out. He throws a beer to Eric Bischoff, to Paul Heyman, and to Vince McMahon. And he has a cheers. Nobody's getting stunnered outside of Triple H. He cheerses Vince, Paul, Eric, and Stone Cold. They all do a salute, and they all cheers a beer can, and they do a chug, man. How badass is those four doing a chug, man? That's a symbolic moment. That's a memory for a lifetime. And that's all the first segment or two of SmackDown 1000. That just gets you started for the next hour and a half plus. Goosebumps! Book that shit! Anyone listening in WWE? That was probably a long answer to your question there. Who was this? Who the fuck was this? Samuel! That was probably a long fucking answer. But that's how I would book just that first segment or two, man. Really get everyone fucking hooked. In that first segment, you saw so much fun shit. From The Rock to Stone Cold Steve Austin. From Shane versus Triple H. From seeing Paul, Eric, and Vince all in the same ring. Man, come on. Come on, man. Those are the shit that memories are based on, made of, and thought of years and years down the road. Let's move on. What do you guys say? Fabricio, hey BC, being a subscriber on your channel since day number 1, was wondering if you'd welcome back chair shots to the head. Absolutely. Only here and there. You can't do it all the time because you do have a lot of advertisers and people who raise a big fucking deal, and concussions are a big thing nowadays. But to superstars that you trust, to superstars that you know are not going to come back years from then and fucking claim shit on you like The Undertaker, Stone Cold, people like that. Newer guys, who the fuck knows, but whoever you trust, once in a while, a chair shot to the head, absolutely, man. There's no doubt about it. Sometimes the story, the match, the moment calls for it. Christina, BC, for Q&A, can you please reveal the secret of your beauty? Christina, I'm blushing over here. Thank you. I have no idea, man. I think it's because I think young, man. I really do, you know. I think and I act really young, because that's how I feel, man. Every day I'm passionate about everything I do. And I think when you have fire and passion and desire in everything you do, I think that comes across. Not just in your appearance, but just in your overall aura. And when you have that, man, that's a thing of beauty in itself. And I guess that translates, man. That and maybe just some good genetics, I guess. But thank you, Christina. That high Halo guy. Imagine Stone Cold walking up to The Rock and saying, "I love you." No, I could not. That high Halo guy. Obviously, he's talking about Sasha confessing her love to Bayley this past Monday night. I could not picture Stone Cold walking up to The Rock and doing that. Could you picture that shit? Kurt Angle comes up from behind them with his little ukulele guitar, whatever the fuck, with his cowboy hat. Starts singing fucking Backstreet Boys. You are my fire, my one desire. Yes, I know it's too late, but I want it that way. Tell me why. Oh, no. Kurt Angle ain't doing that shit, and BC Amplified shouldn't be doing that shit. But that would be some funny shit, though, man. Kurt Angle just busting out some fucking love songs while Stone Cold confesses love to The Rock. Love it. Don't book that shit, Vince. Don't book it. Samuel Alba for Q&A, BC. Much love and respect to you. Same to you, Samuel Alba. Do you feel that Alexa Bliss is a bit overhyped and overrated? From Vince McMahon, absolutely. Now, her fan base, that's in the eye of the beholder. However her fans view her, that's how her fans view her. Vince McMahon absolutely puts way too much stock in Alexa Bliss. Much more than deserved. I'm going to leave it at that. Highlights for Eva. Hey BC, Nia Jax was missing from Raw this week, as well as posting a video before Raw of Byron Saxton and James Ellsworth in the background. Does this mean a possible move for Nia to SmackDown? What's it going to do? Highlights forever. What's that honestly going to do for Nia? What's it going to do if Sasha, everyone's so gung-ho, Sasha versus Bayley, loser leaves Raw match. What's it going to do? If they don't have creativity for them on the other brand, then they're just stuck in the same bullshit they were on the other show. If they actually have something for them, then yes. But Nia moving over there, if it's still just going to be regular old nonchalant, non-existent Nia, just like Sasha or anyone else switching brands with the same bullshit creative behind them and backing them, then no, it's not going to matter. Could it mean Nia's going to SmackDown? Absolutely. Sasha could go to SmackDown. Nia could. 2 superstars on SmackDown could go over to SmackDown. I think after SummerSlam, a lot of shit's going to change. Doesn't mean it's going to be better. That's a lot of fucking YouTube questions. I apologize. Twitter, I got to end this, guys. I'm only going to take a few Twitter ones. I apologize. Dylan over on Twitter. Hey, BC, do you think Roman Reigns would get more over if he would just change his finishers and moves? Or do you think he has to turn heel to get over? You're the best. Thank you, Dylan. He's got to turn heel. His finishers are fine. The Superman punch, the spear, it's badass. He's a power wrestler anyway, so it fits his character. His moveset is fine. Maybe add some stuff. That's fine. But he has to go heel. So the bottom line here, guys, is we just want to see him as another side of him. We need to see that other side. That meaner, more vicious side. That take no prisoner, I don't give a fuck what I have to do to get ahead type character. Vince eventually is going to have to show us that, or he'll never be fully over. It's just not going to happen. Frank on Twitter. Hi, BC. First, I love your show. It is epic and you are awesome. Thank you, Frank, man. Very humbled. Also, do you think Asuka will ever get the SmackDown Women's title? At this point, no. I'm hoping I'm wrong, and that's a yes. But it's criminal if she does not, man. She should have had it over there at WrestleMania. How she doesn't have it by now is mind-boggling to me, and now it looks like she's out of the picture even. Maybe one day, but it just doesn't look like it, man. And that's criminal. Martin, Twitter, hi BC, much love and respect for you. Thank you, right back at you. Martin, who is your top wrestlers in the WWE? Top wrestlers in the WWE? I guess I can go by brand, male and female. I'll go by people that captivate me. On Raw, Sasha Banks, Braun Strowman, I guess, because they're the ones that captivate me the most right now. Nobody else, when they come on my TV, even Seth Rollins, great wrestler, love him, good dude, like to see him on high-profile matches, like to see him get the credit he's due, doesn't necessarily captivate me. Now, when he's in the ring, he starts doing shit that captivates me, absolutely. But when he's coming down the ramp, in the ring, on the mic, or just going through motions in a match, I don't know, not fully captivated. The only people on Raw that do that for me, Sasha Banks, Braun Strowman. And on SmackDown, I would say Naomi, Daniel Bryan. Those are the 4 stars that captivate me. Naomi, Sasha Banks, Daniel Bryan, Braun Strowman. Obviously, Ember Moon's in the running as well. If they would just give her the time of day and book her even half properly, she would absolutely captivate me. They're just booking her like a fucking... honestly, they're booking her like a jar of peanuts. Which obviously, you can't do anything with a jar of peanuts. And if you give shitty booking to one of your talents, they can't do anything with it. So it's a shame what they're doing to Ember Moon. But those are my top superstars right now because they captivate me the most. I gotta shut the fuck up. This video is going toward, if it hasn't already, an hour and a half. So I'm sure you guys love that shit. Wow, that takes a lot out of your boy over here. That takes a lot out of my voice, a lot of energy out of me, and we still have a whole night to go. Where there has to be a lot of coffee and ass whooping still to come. So I'm going to shut up for now. Hopefully I'll give an impromptu video maybe tomorrow. I'll definitely see you guys next week for sure. The Amplified man, he's cashing the fuck out. Much love and respect to every single one of you, and I'll see you next time. For now, check you later.